Crown Jewel 2025 had been building toward a climactic showdown that fans could feel in their bones for weeks. Seth Rollins versus Brock Lesnar. Rollins, the cunning and athletic architect, had been on an unrelenting quest to reclaim his dominance in WWE. Lesnar, the Beast Incarnate, was a force of destruction, feared by all who entered the ring. Between them stood years of history, rivalries, and unfinished business. At the center of the storm, as always, was Paul Heyman, the master strategist, manager, and orator. For decades, Heyman's alliances had shaped the careers of WWE's most dominant superstars, including Lesnar himself. But Heyman had also served Rollins in recent months, guiding him with calculated advice and helping him navigate the treacherous waters of WWE. Crown Jewel 2025 promised a high-stakes battle, but no one could have predicted that Heyman would completely upend the balance of power with a shocking betrayal that would leave the WWE Universe reeling. The road to betrayal. In the weeks leading up to Crown Jewel, Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman had been portrayed as an unstoppable partnership. Heyman, with his unparalleled mic skills and keen intellect, had been providing Rollins with strategies, helping him anticipate Lesnar's moves, and even defending him publicly against critics. The WWE Universe had begun to believe that Heyman had truly thrown his lot in with Rollins, a shocking departure from his history of managing only the most dominant figures. But behind the scenes, whispers of tension were growing. Heyman had always thrived on aligning himself with the most dominant talent, and while Rollins was exceptional in his own right, he could never match the sheer destructive power of Brock Lesnar. For Heyman, the question was simple: loyalty or legacy? Sources backstage hinted that Heyman had been subtly planting seeds of doubt with Rollins, testing his patience and analyzing how far Rollins could push before cracking. It was all part of a long-term calculation, one that would ultimately reshape the main event landscape of WWE. Crown Jewel. The stage is set. The arena in Riyadh was packed, every seat filled with anticipation. Lights blazed across the massive stage as Rollins' music hit, sending the crowd into a frenzy. The architect appeared, dripping with intensity, confidence, and determination. Every move, every gesture screamed that he was prepared to face the Beast Incarnate and finally prove himself as the top dog in WWE. Brock Lesnar's entrance, as expected, was catastrophic. The crowd erupted with a mix of awe and fear. Lesnar, flanked by the imposing presence of Paul Heyman at his side, walked with his trademark intensity, eyes locked on his opponent. The atmosphere was electric, thick with anticipation, and charged with tension that only WWE main events can deliver. What no one expected, however, was the storm that would erupt inside the ring, and not solely from the battle between Rollins and Lesnar. The opening moments: Rollins versus Lesnar. The bell rang, and the match began with a flurry of high-octane moves. Rollins used his speed and technical prowess to evade Lesnar's powerful strikes, landing dropkicks, sling blades, and suplexes that showcased his skill and cunning. Lesnar, however, absorbed the punishment like an unstoppable juggernaut, retaliating with German suplexes, spine-shattering elbows, and raw brute force. For the first several minutes, the match was an intense back-and-forth, with both men displaying their championship-caliber talent. Fans were on the edge of their seats, anticipating every counter and every near fall. Seth Rollins' resilience was remarkable, and the WWE Universe began to believe he might actually overcome the Beast. But then came the moment that changed everything: Heyman's betrayal. As Rollins prepared to hit his signature curb stomp, he turned to Paul Heyman, seeking guidance and support. For a moment, it seemed Heyman would remain loyal, giving the subtle nod that had become familiar to fans. But in the blink of an eye, everything changed. Heyman suddenly stepped onto the ring apron. But instead of helping Rollins, he distracted him. The referee's attention was diverted, giving Lesnar the opening to counter Rollins' move. The crowd gasped as Lesnar reversed the curb stomp attempt into a punishing F5, but that wasn't the full extent of Heyman's treachery. With calculated precision, Heyman whispered in Lesnar's ear, egging him on and orchestrating the final blow. In that moment, Seth Rollins realized the truth. The man he had trusted completely, the man who had guided him, advised him, and even protected him backstage, had turned on him. Heyman's betrayal wasn't just about siding with Lesnar. It was a demonstration of strategy, foresight, and pure opportunism. Heyman had long recognized that Lesnar represented the ultimate dominance, the legacy, and the unstoppable force that Rollins could never match. The fall of Rollins. With Heyman openly aiding Lesnar, Rollins found himself overwhelmed. Lesnar's raw power, combined with Heyman's strategic interference, became too much to overcome. Rollins fought valiantly, displaying every ounce of skill, heart, and resilience that had earned him his place at the top of WWE. But when Lesnar hit a second F5, Heyman nodded approvingly, a signal that the match was over. The referee counted 1, 2, 3. Brock Lesnar had triumphed, reclaiming the victory, and in doing so, Heyman's alliance with Rollins was irrevocably shattered. The WWE Universe erupted in shock, disbelief, and outrage. The aftermath. Shockwaves across WWE. The fallout from Heyman's betrayal was immediate. Social media exploded with hashtags like #HeymanBetrayal, #SethBurned, and #LesnarDominates trending worldwide. Fans couldn't believe that Heyman, who had once risked everything to support Rollins, had abandoned him in favor of the Beast Incarnate. Backstage, Rollins was reportedly furious, storming through the corridors of the arena, demanding an explanation from Heyman. Security and WWE officials had to intervene as Seth's emotions ran high, a mix of shock, rage, and heartbreak. Even longtime allies were left reeling. Rollins' current faction and former friends in WWE were forced to reconsider their position. Trust in the locker room was shaken, and the implications of Heyman's decision would be felt for months to come.